What's up, everybody? I am here in my 2016 Mercedes Sprinter van, and today I wanted you to know something about cleaning the EGR valve. This is something that I diagnosed to be the problem for my van around the 30,000 mile mark. What started to happen was when I'd be getting on the highway, I especially noticed this. It would be happening usually between around 30 miles an hour and 50 miles an hour. When I'd be accelerating in that range of speed, it would do this thing where it would almost feel like it was getting stuck for just a brief second, and then it would kind of just force its way through. And there would just be this feeling, you could definitely tell when you're driving that just something wasn't right. And so I did a lot of research, and it seemed like looking at the EGR valve would be a possible solution to the problem. So I took it apart, cleaned it out. It was filthy, and put it back together, and it worked great. So it didn't have that problem anymore. But now I'm at about 50,000 miles on the van, and it's starting to do it again. So I think it's just one of those things to where every maybe 15 to 20,000 miles you just might have to do this. It's not that big of a deal. It's pretty easy to do. You don't necessarily have to be super techie to be able to figure out how to do this. So I'm going to show you exactly how I do it, and I hope it helps you like it helped me. So what you will need for this job is a socket wrench, a wobbler attachment for your socket wrench, an extension so you can get down there a little better, a set of Torx bits. I used the number 12 bit for mine. Any carburetor cleaner, flathead screwdriver, pair of pliers, an old toothbrush, somebody had some dirty teeth, and an old towel that you don't care about because it will get ruined. Alright, let's do it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is unscrew the one screw that's holding the oil cap in place. Once you take that screw out, you should just be able to swivel the oil cap back into the side, and that'll get it out of the way so you have much better access to the screws holding the EGR valve in place. So slide that oil cap to the side, and then you can just put the screw back in so you don't lose it. And after you do that, then you're going to want to grab your flathead screwdriver, and you're going to use that to remove the electronic clip that's in the top of the EGR valve. You should just be able to put the flathead screwdriver down in and kind of pop that gray clip out of there. And once you remove the gray clip, you should just be able to pull out the little electronic black clip after you remove the gray clip. And here I had to move a hose clamp that was blocking one of the screws for the EGR valve. So I just grabbed my pliers, and the hose clamp was just a little bit in the way, but it was easy to move once I loosened it up. Now you're going to want to grab your socket wrench, and remember it's the number 12 Torx bit. It was the same bit that was used for the oil cap, and there's 4 screws that hold the EGR valve in place. And remember, you're going to want to use the wobbler bit because some of these angles are weird, and it's the only way to get it out. So take all 4 screws out, and then once you have all 4 screws out, then you're going to want to gently kind of start to wiggle the whole EGR valve unit and kind of pull up, but don't force it, but just kind of wiggle it until it comes loose. and it should pop right up. Now you can see the front of the little fan valve for the EGR, and it's a spring-loaded valve, and what happens is it gets so gunked up with carbon that it struggles to open and close like it should. So you're going to want to take your carburetor fluid and start to spray it and clean it off, and have your toothbrush nearby so you can start to scrape it off, and it should just start coming clean. You're gonna use a decent amount of the carburetor cleaner. You can kind of just go to town with it, and you should start seeing less black and more metal. So you gotta really dig in there and get it as best you can. But the goal is to get it so the fan there starts to open and close easier with less resistance. It just gets stuck, and that's what causes all the problems while you're driving. So once you've got it pretty clean, as clean as you can, I just took another clean towel and just wiped out the area to get as much carbon out of there as I could before I put the EGR valve back in. And there is a little metal gasket that you would have seen when you took it off, so just make sure you put it back. It should slide right on there, and line up the holes for the screws, and then you just put it right back on, and it should just slide right back into place. Just try to remember how it looked when you took it off, and it should just go right back the way it was. And then if you can see, I have the 4 screws sitting where the DEF fluid cap is. That's a good place to have them sitting. And just put all the 4 screws back in. They should go in nice and easy. And then just get your socket wrench and start to tighten them all back into place. And then you're going to want to get the oil cap, put it back on there. It kind of swivels into place. And then get that screw ready. You can screw it in by hand as much as you can, and then you're going to need to grab your socket wrench again and get it nice and tight. And then after that, the only other thing you have left to do is put the electronic clip back into place. It should just clip right in. And then you're gonna make sure that gray clip is popped back into place. You should hear a click, and that's when you know. So that's it. I hope this helped.